Before we begin the episode, I would like to thank our sponsor, Actimet, an athlete wellness and performance monitoring system. Actimet allows players to share their training load, training intensity and highlight issues away from sport, empowering management to help players in a safe, secure and private manner. Players input their performance and wellness data on an easy-to-use mobile app. Actimet is an affordable monitoring system at less than €50 a month and is currently used by county and All-Ireland champions and over 50 soccer academies worldwide. For more information, please visit actimet.com for more. Welcome back to the Sideline Live podcast. You can follow us over on Twitter and Instagram at the Sideline Live. We'd love to hear from you. On episode 70, I'm delighted to be joined by four-time All-Ireland winner and All-Star goalkeeper Ciara Trant. On this episode, we discuss her unexpected start and goal, failure and setback at an early age, upcoming talent, underrated skills, and so much more. I thoroughly enjoyed chatting with Ciara, so I hope you enjoyed the episode. Hi Ciara, thanks a million for joining me on the podcast.
Welcome.
Before we get into everything, talk us through a little bit of kind of your path to goalkeeping, because you did actually begin as an outfield player for Dublin underage.
I did. I played outfield all the way up through underage.
Okay.
It was like I was playing midfield. I was up in the forwards with my club, and then under 14s at Dublin, I was plunked in full back in my first match. So I kind of tasted a bit of everywhere. But when we were minor, coming up to the All Ireland semi-final, we'd no goalkeeper for a challenger match, and I remember I was standing on the big crest in the middle of the AstroTurf in Bridget's, and the manager just asked if I go and goal, and I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I wasn't getting my game outfield, and I said, sure, it's better playing one game in goal, whether it be a challenge or a proper game, and played that and have been stuck in goal ever since, thankfully, because it's worked out well for me, I think.
And did you end up playing for that Dublin team in goal? Did you kind of realise when you went into goal, was it a match made in heaven kind of sort of?
I wouldn't say match made in heaven. I think it just worked. It was. We played Cork in the All Ireland semi-final. This was 2012, and we used to name the team like before the match. It wasn't named like the training session beforehand or anything. So anybody who had a match program at the match knew I was in goal before I even knew I was in goal. So they just like seconds before the warm up. They just called out the team, and I don't even remember much of the warm up. It was all a blur. And I remember running out onto the pitch. Peter Hickey is a photographer. He offered me his hat in case the sun was in my eyes, because he knew I hadn't a clue either. But yeah, All Ireland semi-final we won, and then we won the All Ireland final that year at minor as well, and the rest is history, so they say.
Yeah, that's gas. And was there any particular, like, when you went into goal, because obviously goalkeeping is so different to playing outfield, but how did you find in terms of like communication, because that's a really big thing as a goalkeeper? Yes, it's big outfield, but I know from watching goalkeepers, it's like this other world of what you have to communicate with your backs.
Yeah, I suppose I'm sports mad, so I kind of had a clue about what I should be doing.
Okay.
Just copy people I've watched. So I kind of had a fair idea, and I just went with it. And look, in fairness, the team were very, very encouraging. Like, the girls only had great things to say about me the first couple of weeks. So that, helped massively. But yeah, I'm not going to lie, I winged it. We didn't have a goalkeeper coach or anything. So it was just trial and error.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Okay, interesting.
Just standing goal for the match at the end of training, and that was it.
Jesus, wow, it's definitely changed since then. Why do you love being in goal? What kind of, like, when you said yes and you kind of realised this is great, what do you think is the big kind of reason for you to go and goal?
I don't love being in goal at all.
Oh, do you not?
Compared to the outfield, no, I don't. Anytime I get a bit of freedom to run around the pitch, I milk it as much as I can. I love club training where you can, the no goalkeepers, hand pass over the bar. I absolutely love it. Time of my life. I think underage, I always was a really good passer of the ball.
Okay.
I have a very good strike. So I think their rationale before asking me to go and goal was she has a good kick. She can pick out a pass, and obviously kickouts are a huge part of the game. They didn't expect me, like, first match conceded 5 goals in All Ireland semi final.
Yeah.
But
You still won. That's impressive, though.
We still won. We
Yeah.
still won. There was a penalty that day, and I don't know how I managed to save the penalty, but then they had to retake the penalty for whatever reason. I don't actually know what it was. And she clipped it over the bar. So I saved the penalty my first day, but then I think I was lobbed twice maybe or something like that. Standard ladies football goals.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely down to my kick. Yeah.
Is there any particular thought process you go through for a kick out? Like, I'm always fascinated by the individual approach, and particularly as a goalkeeper, because yes, it's a team sport and it's similar to free taking, but when you are kicking out the ball, it's very individualised and there is a lot of pressure on you to get the ball to the right spot.
Yeah, there is. I just look at it as like a free kick from anywhere in the field, like a free kick from the full back line. Obviously there's certain rules to it as well, and but no, I don't have much of a thought process. I think it's very important to understand how the person you're kicking to likes to receive the ball, or what their strengths or weaknesses are. So some people would maybe good fielders of the ball. So if you're kicking it to them, it has to be nice and gentle, or maybe a bounce pass, or then if you're in trouble, who to Hail Mary the ball on top of. It's very important, that it's someone that's good in the air. It's at least going to break it. So being able to kick the ball to somebody in a way that it's going to suit them is really, really important. But I don't think I have much of a thought process. I'm a believer in the less you think about something, the better you perform. When you start to think and overthink things, the margin for error is much greater. When you're just playing with a bit of freedom or in flow, that's when it comes naturally to you, and that's when you make less mistakes.
That's a great point there. And from your perspective in goal over the last number of years, how has the game evolved, do you think? Is there anything that, like, even for kickouts, for an example, like we've seen in the men's game as well, you're not just lumping the ball to a certain spot, maybe that was the case 10 years ago, but is there any particular element that you've just seen that's really stood out over the past number of years?
I think it is that, not lumping the ball.
Okay.
You still see it at club level. Someone who's inexperienced in goal, or maybe doesn't have a very high understanding of the game, maybe, or how to kick a ball, that it's just maybe their tactics is just get the ball as far away from our goal as possible, and it's just they hoof 50-50 up the field, especially when you go down the divisions. That seems to be the case. But no, it's definitely in ladies football, I'd say over the last 3 years in particular, ladies football at senior into county level is moving more towards retaining possession from kickouts and using that as a launch pad to attack, more so than just restart the game. I think goalkeepers are involved in open play a lot more as well, and kickouts kind of, you can see Monica McGurk with Meath and Martina O'Brien this year at Cork were receiving a lot of balls back off the defenders on kickouts. So that's something that was never done before. Like, it's kind of a new phase or a new evolution of football this year, of kickouts. So yeah, it's definitely changing, but I think there's a lot more respect for goalkeepers, and what you expect your goalkeeper to be able to do is a lot higher. If your goalkeeper can't kick, if your goalkeeper hasn't got the standard skills similar to your outfield players, well, your team's not going to be successful. So it's definitely the kick out, but the respect for the role of the goalkeeper and expectations on the goalkeeper as well, definitely massive change. And I think it's only the start of it as well. We have a long way to go before we get to the men's level of what they're at.
You mentioned club there, just out of interest. I know you play senior division standard with St. Bridget's in Dublin. How far off is the Dublin Club Championship from intercounty? Is there much of a gap? Is there a really big gap? What do you make of it?
I think the gap is closing, but there is still quite a gap there. I think maybe in the last 7 or 8 years in Dublin, Division 1 anyway, like Fox Cab have been front runners, and it's there at a different level to everybody else. So it's nearly, you go out nearly not expecting to lose against Fox Cab, but not being so surprised if you do, and then competing against the rest. I think Nafina were unlucky. Bridges we became unlucky as well, but Fox Cab have definitely been the standard bearers. So they were close enough to Dublin standard. They had a lot of intercounty players as well. So they were closest to bridging the gap, but the rest of us were miles behind, and that's definitely closing. But just the standard of football, basic skills and football intelligence is lagging behind a little bit. But I think what's contributing to that is how far we've pushed it with Dublin as well. It's not so much that the club is falling behind as much as Dublin are kind of like pulling ahead.
Yeah.
So it's catch up for club, but it's, the responsibilities on your county players to bring on your club and push the standards and educate your club with what you've learned from intercounty football. So I think there will always be a gap between senior and club.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely there at club level in Dublin.
In terms of skills, what would you see is the most underrated skill in the game at the moment? And is there anything maybe as underage players that are they're overlooking or just not practicing enough?
Kicking. And it's been, it just annoys me that girls, not everyone, but girls can't kick the ball, or when girls do kick the ball, it's a pump kick. And when I was younger, it used to drive me mad that girls couldn't kick with their instep, or couldn't slice the ball, or couldn't do all these things that the lads on your team were doing. And you even see it in ladies football now, particularly in club, where someone's, on the 21 right in front of the goal, and they pump kick the ball and it goes anywhere, or they're in on goal, and rather than picking their spot, you just kick it in any direction towards the goal and hope it goes in. So that really, really annoys me. I think ladies football relies a lot on hand passing to retain possession, because the kick is so weak. For me, it just comes down to underage level and to girls themselves. They don't watch enough sports, don't go out into the back garden and kick around as much as boys would do. They don't go out and pretend to be certain players like David Clifford or whoever else, Sinead Ahern, or pretend to be Messi or Ronaldo in the back garden and trying to kick the ball certain ways. Girls just, my experience growing up and teaching in the girls' school, girls just don't do that like boys do. And that's where we're lagging behind. And it annoys me, but it's something that as coaches, as role models, that we have to encourage and foster in order for the game to improve. Like it's football.
Yeah.
Football. So,
yeah.
We need to be able to kick properly, which I think we're behind at the moment.
Out of interest then, how often do you practice by yourself, and what do you practice by yourself on the pitch?
Mainly I actually practice free taking or kicking the ball out of the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, just shooting really. It's it's a similar size style kind of kick to a kick out. That's what I do. So during the summer when I'm off from work, it's go down to the club, or stay out after training a little bit because I don't have to get up for work the next morning. It's usually kicking the ball against the garage wall. That's mainly it. I have a little reaction ball as well that I play with before training most evenings. But I just do what I enjoy. I don't go out and train and try work on something that I don't enjoy doing. Any free time away from football is more to clear my head and enjoy having a bit of a kick around by myself, rather than, I suppose, chasing something. I do that chasing and training, and then I park it. But yeah, I usually just play around with football, kicking it.
Yeah, I was listening to a couple of podcasts this year, and a lot of the intercounty players, men and women, have spoken about the standards that are there now. And it's not just you show up to training at 10 to 7 for a 7 o'clock session. It's you show up maybe an hour early. Is that the standard in Dublin? And you mentioned the reaction ball there. What would you do before training?
You're speaking to the right person here. I'll be first to train and always.
What time do you arrive
I just like
at?
being prepared. Oh God, it could be any time. If I'm in work, I'll usually go straight from work to training. So school finishes at 4 o'clock. Training mightn't start till 8. So I'm in the door maybe 6, half 6.
Wow.
But no, look, if you've got extra rehab work to do or prehab work to do, obviously you have to arrive early, and hopefully the gym is free for you to get that work done. If you need to see a physio, well then you need to arrive an hour early, because there's always a queue. Little bits and pieces, mobilizing, doing your own little bits, arriving on time. It's just my nature to be early. I don't know how anyone can arrive 5 minutes before training and be ready to go. I think you need social side as well. You need to chat with your friends and the team.
Yeah.
For me, my routine would be get there early, get changed, see the physio, chat for a while, and then play my reaction ball a little bit, do any extra little prehab work I need to do, and then complain about the cold for a few minutes and then go out onto the pitch and get going.
Yeah. And is there any, like, when you talk about that standard, is that driven more by the players than the management, or was that always the standard since you've joined the senior team?
It's all player driven. Like, management are never in the dressing room, really, never near the dressing room before training. It's, mobilizations at 7 or 7:15, and that's the time you're expected out, and that's the first time you'll really see them unless you meet them coming in the door. But it's all player driven, and I think now players are so educated. When you come through the college system now, you're mixing with people from other teams, from other counties, and the supports are there to educate you on how to prepare properly and recover properly. So when you go into a dressing room in Dublin, people are always doing bits, whether they're doing band work or stretching or rolling or mobilizing or anything like that. People are always chatting and doing those things, and it's never a conversation that we need to have, or nobody's ever given a list of boxes to tick before training. It's just a habit and just culture now in our team anyway, and I suppose it's the same across the board in all counties. But yeah, it's more, we kind of do it alongside having a bit of a social before training and catching up with each other. And then we mobilise on the pitch again as a group. And that's kind of our switch on, the ready to go training session.
Okay. And when you separate from the group and do your goalkeeping sessions with the goalkeeping coach, out of interest, how much is your work down to the fundamentals of the game as a percentage maybe to, let's say, the tactical fancy stuff that you've seen, but how much is it just the basics?
I would say, I'd say the majority of every session, like we do our goalkeeper sessions, we do our goalkeeper warm-up drills, and then it depends on what the main group are doing. Do they need a goalkeeper? Are we doing match-related stuff? Are we doing shooting? Are we doing defensive and working the ball out sort of work? So if the goalkeeper's needed, we step in. If not, like, we could spend a whole hour and a half, 2 hours by ourselves doing our own work, and that's always the basics. Like, tactical work is kind of done off pitch, and then you kind of bring it in towards the end of every training session. But
Okay.
yeah, it's all very, very basic, moving the feet, covering our angles, getting good contact with the ball. But I would also say that with outfield players, the majority of training sessions is working on the basics as well. It's nothing's too complicated. Like, if you can do all the tactical work in the world, but if someone's not catching the ball, if someone's not kicking the ball accurately or hand passing, well, then that kind of tactical work is going to break down, and it becomes redundant then. So I would say 78% of every training session is basics.
Okay. And I was listening to a webinar you did. I can't remember exactly which one it was. It was over lockdown, and you were saying that during some of your sessions you kind of have like a cue or a trigger that you use where you remind yourself, like fast feet or something. I probably have that wrong, but you probably know it better than me.
Yeah, like whenever I make a mistake, or whenever I feel like I've found a bit of imbalance in my game or my performance, in that moment I just think, right, soft hands and move your feet. Like, if you can't move your feet, you're not getting into the right positions, but then you can't make the save. And if your hands aren't soft, the ball's just going to bounce off them. So soft hands, get rid of all the stress, relax and move your feet. That would be my trigger. Anytime anything goes wrong, whether it be myself or as a team, we make a mistake, it's always right, relax, get back in the moment. And soft hands, fast feet are my basics. They're my foundations for everything I do in goalkeeping. So I just remind myself of them.
I was completely wrong then with that one. Where did you pick that up out of interest? Was that something that you had a chat with, let's say, your coach or a sports psychologist, or where did you find that?
No, it was kind of just through experience. Like, goalkeeper coaches, had a few of them. It's kind of like, move your feet. Like, okay, if I'm not moving my feet, well, then how am I meant to do everything else? So it's kind of just something I started saying to myself, and the same with soft hands. It just, loosen out your hands, relax, and then you'll be able to catch the ball or, absorb the shot or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just something over time I'm reminding myself, or they're the basics that are expected of me. So do them before you start thinking or stressing about the rest.
Yeah. What's it like having a keeper like Abby training with you? Like, she was named on the team of the league. I got that right. What's it like having that level of competition that, let's say, if it wasn't for Dublin, she was in a different county, she would probably be the number one keeper. I'd say the sessions are very competitive.
Yeah, it's not great.
Pressure's on.
Abby has, in fairness to Abby has been up with us since she was 16. I think a lot of the team probably still view her as somebody who's sitting the junior cert, even though she's in college now. She was up with us when she was just training, like when we were first year minor. I think it was 2018. She was first year minor. In 2018, I was the only goalkeeper on the panel. So, as soon as the Dublin minors got knocked out, it was like, right, Abby, up you get. We need another goalkeeper.
Yeah.
So I think those 2 years she had of just pure development and no expectations. Look here, you're still a minor. You're not getting a game. She's 10 times the goalkeeper she is now than she would have been if that didn't happen. In terms of shot stopping ability, I've never seen anybody as good as her.
Okay.
Like I don't know how she does it sometimes. I do be watching her and seeing how she moves. She has a few tricks. I know some of her tricks. I just haven't been able to replicate them as good as she is. But shot stopping ability, she's phenomenal. And I think, the year, 2 years, she's this girl's going to win All Irelands for Dublin, definitely.
What are her tricks? Are you willing to share them with the public?
I can't share them.
They're secret,
no.
Are they? Should be on.
This is gone on a public forum.
Just out of interest, Stephen Cluxton, obviously, just whenever anyone mentions goalkeeper, I automatically think of him anyway. Have you ever had a conversation with him? Has that ever been kind of facilitated through your connection with Dublin at all?
No, the only time I've talked to Clucko has been in Coppers, very, very late at night. I've met him once before that, but no, never had a conversation and any with him outside of Proper Face Jacks, and inside of it, I don't think we were talking about football either. I think everyone was trying to replicate him, and I know Clucko didn't play last season, but I think it's moved on another step even from him. You look at Noel Morgan and Rory Beggan were playing as nearly full forwards this year for a lot of the championship, and so that's the next phase. That's what goalkeepers are starting to do. I'm not saying now that I wouldn't be against going up and trying kicking the score, but I won't be doing that, I don't think. But yeah, Cluxton has been huge, and I think it was just simply down to looking at the goalkeeper position from an attacking point of view rather than a defensive point of view, or a shot stopping last line of defense kind of thing. And kind of that just woke the country up to, okay, this can be something. What else can we do? How can we change it? How much better can we be? And I suppose there's going to be a few more surprises coming for goalkeepers of what they're going to do next. I haven't a clue. But Cluxton definitely, and his team behind him. I suppose Jim Gavin and his teammates giving him the license to take control and ownership of starting attacks from a set play, and from kickouts has been huge, but it's benefited the whole game. It hasn't, everybody reacted to him, which is great. It's had a positive impact, and I suppose it's filtered down into hurling camogie as well. You're seeing the goalkeepers become more involved in games, so it's been great. But no, I haven't. I've just been as influenced as everybody else has been by him, but not on a personal one-to-one level, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's a great story of him. It could be semi-final or a final that went to replay, and it was described as he arrived to training. There was some sort of scenario when he had the laptop out for 2 hours watching his footwork. Is that something that you would do a lot, watching video analysis, whether it's of yourself or even, let's say, if you happen to be watching a game, what are you watching for in other keepers and for yourself?
In terms of myself, I think you kind of know the mistake you made as soon as it happens, and you know what you should have done differently. And I don't think I'd be playing at this level if I didn't know that. Like, I know against Donegal this year, they got a goal from a kick out. Just miskicked the ball. It wasn't good enough. And I remember sitting on the bus on the way home going, Mick's going to come and sit down beside me now and give me an earful. And he didn't. And then I sat home and I was waiting for the phone call and he didn't ring. And a few days passed and I realized, well, he knows I know the exact mistake. He doesn't need to say anything to me about that. And I was kind of like, oh, and that's kind of the first time I kind of realized that, I know what mistake I made straight away. Even Ralph, the goalkeeper coach, he wouldn't even say anything to me. I kind of give him the answer before he even asked the question.
Okay.
So I don't really look back too much on video analysis. Kickouts I would, in terms of we lose a kick out, what could I have done better? But I'd look through all kickouts and kind of see, did I make the right option? Did someone really make a better run? Or, I'd be looking kind of for patterns that my teammates are making their runs, so I know kind of where to expect them to pop up in the next game. And in terms of other goalkeepers, yes and no. Like I would analyse other goalkeepers and kind of feed that back into the group, and particularly to our forwards, midfielders, and half backs, on how we're going to try and negate their kickouts. I would. If another goalkeeper's doing something great, well then I want to copy them and try to do them one better.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't really pay too much attention to opposition or to mistakes that happens. Kind of just, right, well, that game's gone. What do I need to do now? How do I need to prepare for the next game?
Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. You did reference Began and Niall Morgan. I do have a picture of you, I'd say around the 45 in the semi-final. Was that part of the plan? Is that something that we might see going forward, or was that you just doing a bit of a rogue on it?
It's not a plan at all. The further I walk up the pitch, the more people that can hear me. So if there's no one behind me, I'd go all the way up. Like, there's plenty of time to get back. It's just out of habit and just being able to pull a few strings from further up the pitch, especially in Croke Park or venues that might have a larger crowd. You can get away with it in the league. Everyone can hear you. But on bigger days, you need to kind of push up the pitch a little bit. That's what I think anyway. But yeah, it's not intentional. Sometimes I get so far and I'm like, oh God, what am I doing here? I know the bad sign, but in this year's All-Ireland final, I think at one stage, the last minute or second minute, I was on the opposition 65. It's like, oh, for God's sake, come on, just pushing up, just trying to contribute, and just be vocal and make sure everyone can hear me. But yeah, no, it's not intentional some of the times, but it's not to get involved in the play. It's just so I can nag other people.
And what are you saying to the players in terms of communication? Is there a particular, not really structure, but what kind of messages are you giving them? Is it just purely kind of what happens in the moment, or is there specific things you say?
Yeah, so before I go out onto a pitch in the match, I'd have a little notebook and I just write down our key terms, or what are we really focusing on, what do we need to chase in this game. So it would be just about communicating those things and just reminding the team of what our trigger words are, and helping them, because in the heat of battle you can forget these things. You're kind of trying to rely on just instinct, so it's good to have somebody have a cue in your ear to remind you, and then maybe I'll have a better view, so I'll be able to see the pitch and see pockets of space or gaps opening up for people. So trying to communicate that, and then obviously defensively saying get back, or run quicker, help, sort of thing. But yeah, no, it's usually just keywords, triggers, and then just communicating if I see an opportunity or a threat, trying to negate that.
Mm-hmm. What advice would you give players, particularly goalies or even outfield players, because communication is so important everywhere, on developing those kind of communication skills that might not be maybe the most natural at doing that?
I'd say communicating isn't talking. It's communicating effectively has to be a clear and concise instruction. And a lot of the times, particularly, maybe developing goalkeepers come in for training sessions, or maybe somebody in goalkeeper who's new to the panel, they might tell someone to watch, there's a player there, watch. or mark or just call a name, and sure that's not helping anyone around you. So you need, concise instructions, direct instructions. So, left or right, in front, behind, maybe the distance, are they 5 yards, 10 yards? Do they need to go to the player or just be aware? Do they need to go to the ball or hold, or, what kind of tackle to give, what type of hand pass is on, where in the pitch they are, and just helping people making the decision for defenders and communicating that very clearly for them. And it always has to be an instruction. There's, it annoys me when people say, we need to communicate. We're not talking as a team. You can play a match and win a match and have this perfect performance by not communicating at all, if everybody's doing their job correctly. But saying, well done or great stuff or whatever is, I'm constantly repeating that, just becomes white noise. So I just talk if you have a reason to talk, or you have something positive and constructive to provide to your teammates, something informative. And if not, well then shut up, because you're probably drowning out somebody else's instruction that might be vital for the team. So yeah, it just has to be clear. It has to be concise. It has to be an instruction that someone can follow without having to say, well, is the goalkeeper right, or should I keep doing what I'm doing? You tell someone what to do. But obviously your instructions have to be the right one as well. So part of that is understanding the game and educating yourself to a level in which your decisions are 99% of the time the right one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's really interesting. Out of interest in the dressing room, who would be is there a particular player that would be the leader maybe before a game that gives the final couple of words before you go out? Is that something that you would do as a group?
Generally, last words goes to Sinead Ahern, just as captain. But in those last words, Mick would say his last piece. Then, if anybody has anything to add, that's grand. It's generally it's a more senior player that's been around the block, and that people have that extra little bit of trust and respect for, merely because they've had the years behind them. But in terms, Sinead Ahern gets last word before a match, but in terms of dressing room, anyone? No, it's like we all encourage and support and look for everybody to speak up, and oftentimes it's the quietest one on the team that has the best thing to say. Like a prime example would be Orla Nolan. She doesn't say much, but everything she does say is the gold dust. Like Sinead Ahern as well. It's so intelligent. And you're like, yeah, like how do they know that sort of thing? Like, yeah. I wish I was them. But at half time, it's everybody contributes. Okay. Backs, forwards, girls on the bench. What do we see on the pitch? What are you seeing from the sideline? What do we need to do? What are we doing well? Sort of thing. It's it's a team. We all kind of contribute. Nobody. It doesn't matter how many years you have under your belts. Everybody's opinion or input is equal and is welcomed.
Okay. And I've noticed, I think it was the Instagram page, there's a couple of flags up in the dressing room. I think they were putting up a few videos before the match. Is that something a team motto? Is that something Mick has brought in to the squad?
Yeah, I don't. I was a bit. I raised my eyebrows when I saw those flags online. I thought, maybe that should have been kept in house. But
okay,
I suppose a motto or a saying or anything doesn't. They're all out there for you to see. Mm-hmm. It's where how you use them, I suppose, is important. So yeah, we every year we kind of our rep group within the team kind of came up with kind of our motto for the year. Not so much a motto, it's just kind of, if you're in the dressing room and just have a read of the flags, and it kind of just grounds you a little bit and brings it back in. And you could put those flags up in 31 other counties dressing room, they probably wouldn't mean the same thing to everyone. No, it's just a little group reminder thing. But it's also nice to walk into a dressing room and it's blue and it's decorated with your stuff. Yeah. You're putting your team's mark on your surroundings rather than walking into a cream cobwebbed cold concrete dressing room.
So. Yeah, Yeah, that's a good point as well. Is that you mentioned there the group? Is that sort of like a leadership group with senior players, or is it kind of like elected players from the group? How does that work?
No, it's just be a mix, young and old, that are just, a voice for players. It's just not a voice for players, to management, or from management to players. It's just kind of like a link group. So even
Okay.
when it comes to social nights, food, fundraising, absolutely anything, organizing birthday cards or something like that. It's just kind of, I don't know, it's about just like a students' council on behalf
Okay.
of the team sort of thing. It just works in terms of organizing things that management can say, here, rep group, take over that. Or
Yeah.
then, if somebody has anything they want to feed back to management, or the group have any issues, or positives, negatives that we need to communicate through the rep group. And then we'd review, we'd meet constantly and just review how things are going. What can we do to push the standards even further on and off the pitch?
Okay. Within Dublin or across club or county, who's been the best forward that you've come across in terms of intelligence, vision, movement, accuracy? Is there anyone that just stands out there?
Sinead Ahern.
Okay.
Easily, she's like a magician. I don't know how she does it. She's just class. Everything about her, like her standards are insane. And the only critique I'd have about Nerd would be that she's so softly spoken that everybody has to go quiet in order to hear her. It's like, what did she say? But yeah, Sinead Ahern, she just epitomizes everything a GAA player should aspire to be. She's just phenomenal. Her understanding of the game, her just everything. You'd expect her to be perfect since she's been playing since she was 4 foot. Not that she's grown much either since then, but she's been around
Sinead, in
so
case
many
you're
years.
listening.
No, it's definitely without a doubt Sinead Ahern.
Okay. And is that, do you think that's down to her, like it's always this conversation I'm fascinated about, is it her character, is it her ability, that the fact that you mentioned she's a magician, she's obviously practiced whatever they say, what is it, 10,000 hours, or is it a bit of both, do you think?
I think it's a bit of both. I think away from the pitch, she's extremely intelligent. Because she's so articulate. Like, I'm an English teacher, and sometimes she says things, or she'd say something in a text, and I'm like, wow, like, or like at a banquet. Or so I remember one year at a banquet where I think it might have been the first year we won, and me and my sister just looked at each other and we're like, wow, she which like we're just in awe of her, just the way she spoke. I think she's just highly intelligent
Okay.
and loves football, and has practiced so much, and is just so humble that it just all blends together as the perfect player, the
Yeah.
perfect person sort of thing. Yeah, no, I think everything she touches probably turns to gold.
Yeah.
She's one of those people.
Yeah, I should definitely try to get her on the podcast. Is that, like, when you talk about her practice, is that something that is done at Dublin training, where you hear Dean Rock kind of going out 30 minutes before, it's staying for an hour after? Is that something that's done at training? You mentioned even sometimes you would do it.
Look, it depends on the player, depends on your time. Sometimes I do it, but a lot of the time I do it away from the pitch,
Okay.
kind of do my own thing. I find a lot of the times, if I want to do extra, Carla Rowe calls me over to stand in goal so she can take shots on me, and then someone else joins in, and then Woodsy gets involved and something like that. So like, as soon as the final whistle blows, I'm gone. Nobody's starting taking penalties, or having the crack with me here.
Yeah.
I've done my bit. You've had your chance. But yeah, it depends on the person.
Okay.
Free takers always stay behind, and that could be up to 10, 12 people. Defenders might decide, I need to chase the block this week. Midfielders often practice the throw-in quite a bit.
Okay.
Just trying to cover all bases of a game that maybe we haven't chased after in training that day. But it depends. It depends on the person, and time available as well. Some girls work in high pressure jobs, and particularly at certain times of year that they mightn't be available, or look, they just want to get home and get to bed as quickly as they can, and that's fair. But as a group, it's never, doing the extras has never ever been an issue. I don't think it's kind of something we pride ourselves on. And if you want to make the team, well, if you're not doing the extras, you shouldn't be surprised if you don't.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But it is up to the player. And even you mentioned their time schedule. Like, I don't know how she did it, and I'm going to get her on the podcast to explain how. But Noelle, prime example, like what was her impact coming back? Like, I know she retired, but she was back in as the team doctor. I did get quite a surprise. I think it was the first game this year, and I saw her name. Was that what was it like to have her still around the group? And did she have much of an influence still, or was it just pretty much for her role as doctor?
Huge influence. Like, in terms of doctor, nutritionist, physio, and anyone who's working psychology and the things, you need to know individuals, you need to know how people tick, you need to know how to read somebody's body language. And the fact that Noelle has a relationship with everybody on the team, that Noelle soldiered with you, she's been through the horrible sessions with you and celebrated the best days with you, has been in the dressing room, it's probably made her job easier, but she kind of knows how to read people. She understands everyone, knows everybody's needs, knows what's happening in our personal lives, past and present. So for having her around it was great to have someone that and who knows you, but then you have the relationship there. She's someone you can go to straight away as team doctor, as opposed to somebody who's fresh, who's new, who doesn't really know anything about you, who's trying to learn, constantly trying to even remember everybody's names, never mind everybody's problems. So yeah, it was a massive benefit. And I remember being down I think we were down in Limerick, where we for Thurles, I don't know, for the first game where Noelle was doctor, and I was sitting in the stands, and there's a running joke that Noelle's gotten more game time on the pitch or more camera time than most people playing did. And there was a one stage where Shay, our physio, was running on, and he tweaked his ankle, so he was injured. Noelle was just sprinting past him, sort of thing. Very funny, very memorable day. But no, it's great. I don't know how she does everything. Like, it's not even the hours in the hospital that she put through, it's the studying. At the same time, having a personal life, having a social life, and family, friends and stuff, like, just superhuman.
Yeah, absolutely. If there's any younger players listening that want to become an intercounty player and an all-star like yourself, is there, like, I've just put 3 on this, it could be more, but like, away from physical ability and genetics, because obviously some of it's down to that, but is there a 3-point checklist that there is to become a player of that caliber, do you think?
I would say the main thing is, now it's easy to say don't give up. Like, there's plenty of times where I gave up, like, completely. But it's never too late to get called into the panel. You could be in your mid-20s, late 20s, getting called in. Like, Orla Nolan got an all-star this year, and it's only her second year on the panel. And she's not a nipper, like, so it's never too late. And playing underage football, it doesn't mean anything. It's a great experience, and I suppose it's you're a step ahead of everyone else, but it doesn't stand for anything. Most of the best players we had in our minor team 2012 when we won the All-Ireland aren't even playing football anymore.
Okay.
So it stands for nothing. So never give up in that sense. Never give up long term. Short term you can give up because it can be quite emotional, but long term, don't write it off. And it's probably easier to say as a 27-year-old than it is to say as a 15, 16-year-old. The thing then would be just, I suppose, enjoy it. And there are phases that you go through football where you hate it, that you don't want to go to training. There are stages absolutely every single year where I might have a bit of a cry on the way to training, going, I do not want to go here. It's cold, it's raining, I played crap in the last game, I'm not in the mood today, whatever. And then there's times of the year where it's like, oh God, training can't come soon enough. Like, Jesus, I want it to happen every single night of the week. Why can't it be full time? So, you'll go through, peaks and troughs through it, but it's your hobby. You're still playing. You didn't quit after your first training session. You're getting something from it. So stick with it, because it is your hobby and it is your passion. And the last thing would be then just practice. Make it a habit of practicing, and make sure that you're enjoying practicing, whether it's by yourself, with a group. If you're not enjoying it, then then maybe you have to take time out and take a step back. So what did I? Well, it's practice.
Don't give up, and
don't give up and enjoy it.
Out of interest, you mentioned like going through sessions where you don't want to go, and I think everybody relates to that. But what keeps you going? Because at intercounty level, like obviously it's very tough training. So when you don't want to go and you're doing these hard runs, like I saw in the documentaries, where running up and down to Phoenix Park, like what keeps you through those sessions where you don't want to be there, or if they're just flogging you with fitness?
You kind of, I know that the nicer days are gonna come. Summer championship will be here, blink of an eye. It just depends on your mood, and there's always someone on the team that's going through worse than you at the moment. For me, I've been lucky to be playing football, to be making the starting 15, to have a position, and I kind of check myself, and there's girls that there's stuff going on in their personal life. Training is horrible. They're not particularly enjoying it at the moment, and they're not getting their game. There's always somebody worse off than you, and in life in general, there's always somebody worse than you. Things are never as bad as you think they are. You're just emotional in that moment. And I absolutely love the team. I love going into that dressing room. Like, I forget everything when you go into the dressing room. Absolutely everything. When I see Roth, the goalkeeper coach, like, just flips my mood completely, absolutely every time I go into training. He's like a drug or something. And he has that effect on absolutely everybody. It's a fist pump before training and then ready to rock. And it's like, well, I can't be upset now. This guy's, I'm trying, as much as I try to be on a downer, this guy's on a smile on my face. And I'm like, for God's sake, let me have my moment here. But no, it's the people. It is the people. Like, when you're around your friends, you kind of forget about things, and that's probably been key to our success as well. Like, there's nobody on the team that I wouldn't love to walk into a dressing room and see. So yeah, like the football and the runs and horrible training sessions and weather and stuff, that's never going to cheer you up. So it has to be the people around you.
When you mention people, who's had the biggest influence on your career?
Oh geez, it put me on the spot here. I probably down to two people. So my manager from under 12s development squads all the way through to minor, Fintan O'Curry, and 21, he had a massive influence on me, because there was times when I was like 30th picked on the panel after trials. And I know full well that the only reason he picked me because I had a really good attitude. He'd no intention of ever playing me, and he'd never have to be in a position that he would have to play me. Until he did, until they needed
until they'd no goalie.
Yeah. So definitely him, and still I meet him and we talk about it and we reminisce, and I don't think it's a case of he saw something in me. I just think he saw, this is a girl that absolutely loves playing for Dublin.
Yeah.
And he used to always say attitude is contagious, and this is a girl that would give absolutely everything, whether she plays or not. So he just kept giving me opportunity, and I just kept taking them as best I can. He's actually he's on the minor manager.
I was just about to say, yeah, he's is he co-management with Denise Master? Like,
Denise,
they're both in together, I think.
Yeah, so that's fantastic. I'm delighted for him getting back involved in things after, must be going on maybe 7 or 8 years away from the game. And then it has to be Mick. Like, he's been huge. It's just, I think I always had this kind of football intelligence, or kind of sporting intelligence, absolutely obsessed. Like, I sit down during the summer and I watch the Tour de France start to finish. Like, I don't think anybody else does
I definitely
that.
wasn't.
No, like it's such a kick off it, because I'm analysing it and understanding it and watching the tactics. Like,
okay.
So Mick kind of unlocked that and kind of gave me the freedom to chase it and to, utilise it as part of the team. Like, Mick's very like, you're the players, you're the ones on the pitch, you fix these problems, you find the solution, here's the tools you need. Then if he needs to rein things in, he will, of course, but it's very player driven, whereas managers in the past have been more kind of, they pull the strings. It's, make us a lot of trust. We have to earn that trust as well. And I think we found a nice balance between us. So definitely him. Obviously, the 4 All-Irelands under him definitely help.
Yeah.
Fintan and Mick. Obviously my teammates as well, but the biggest influences will be them.
And when you mention other sports, without giving away the secrets now, obviously, but is there anything in particular that you've taken? Like when you mentioned cycling there, but you hear of a lot of players and teams, and Jim Gavin, obviously, when they got basketball coaches. I know Mark Ingle was in with you. I recorded a podcast with him the other day. What have you brought in from other sports to your game?
I don't know. Like I kind of, you're kind of look to see similarities and, or what are you doing in that sport and could it be applied to what we're doing? Like I found a really good clip online of Thierry Henry analysing Barcelona and Pep Guardiola's, style of play with them. And I sent it to Mick straight away, and I kind of was like, well, we've been trying to kind of do something similar. That's, playing with that sort of controlled freedom. That's kind of what we're doing. And it's, all the time we're trying to look to see, how can we apply that to ours? Like I love going on YouTube and watching analysis of things, I don't know. It's giving away all my secrets. But it's something I enjoy as a hobby.
Okay. Yeah.
And I like going to my brother's matches and analysing them and kind of seeing what they're doing, even though they wouldn't be a very successful or talented, high achieving bunch of club footballers. But, I just constantly analyse and think, could we be doing that? Or we definitely should not be doing that in the case of my brother's team most of the time.
Your poor brother, in case he's listening. You're just throwing everyone under the bus.
He knows. There's only one brother.
Oh, fair enough.
There's only one brother that plays football. He knows well. No, I don't know. I get a kick out of analysing them, and even, tennis and stuff. Should I be moving like Roger Federer floats across the ground when I'm trying to get from one post to the other? Can I do that? Definitely not as smooth as Roger Federer, but I try.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting, because across a lot of the episodes it's come up about looking at other sports, and another thing that's come up was a quote with a basketball player. It's a well-known quote, I think, but it's pressure is a privilege. How do you cope with the expectations of being a goalkeeper, first of all, at any level, because there is an expectation even at club, and then playing inter-county for Dublin, you're on a big stage, especially in Croke Park and on final day. How do you find coping with pressure?
I don't really know. I don't feel like it ever impacts my performance. I think that, when I'm playing a match, I'm not really thinking about external things, and there's never really moments of pressure that gets me. I remember one All-Ireland final, and it was right before a kick out and somebody was injured, and thinking to myself, towards the end of the game, and maybe they got a score, and thinking to myself, God, this is a really big kick out now. We have to win this. And that's the only, I ended up kicking it to Sinead Ahern, who ran from full forward into midfield, and I hoofed the ball on top of her. She won it. I think she won the breaks, maybe. I don't know. We retained possession anyway. Yeah. That's the only time I've ever, in the moment, playing a match, felt, God, I'm under pressure here. Like as a group, we're always under pressure. I think, as soon as you win an All-Ireland, all the pressure's on you. Everybody else has kind of nothing to lose. So I'm used to it. And I suppose nobody really likes the dubs. So that kind of gives everyone an added incentive to improve their performance an extra little bit. So as a dub, you have to kind of counteract that a little bit. I'm used to it, and I guess underage we won a lot as well. So kind of we expect ourselves to do well. But I don't know how pressure really, I don't think it affects me enough. I'm able to kind of park those things or not read into them. Maybe I don't notice them, or don't notice these cues that are pressure. But I don't know. It doesn't really affect my game, I don't think.
Okay, fair enough. I've asked a lot of people this question, but what would be your definition of success?
You can achieve something, but is it? I suppose success might be a kind of a feeling, a sense of contentment in yourself that you can feel like you've succeeded without having achieved anything. An achievement would probably be a goal, but success is kind of your reflection on your journey towards working towards an end goal. Like, you may never, in the case of GA, you may never play in Croke Park, but you still could feel that, yeah, my playing time was a success. I'm content with how I performed, so yeah, I suppose success isn't probably something measured more so than a feeling you have of yourself. It's definitely something individualized anyway.
Brilliant. Nobody has ever kind of said feeling before, so I like that answer. I'm going to move on to sideline 7. It's the same 7 questions at the end of every episode, and I'm after just realizing that I never sent you the questions and I never sent you the Zoom link. So we'll just go on a wing here.
Okay.
You can take it as fire round or thought provoking, whatever you wish. I'm going to question 1. What is your favorite quote?
Champions aren't made in gyms. Champions are made from something they have deep inside them. The dream, a desire, a will, but the will has to be greater than the skill. It's Fintan O'Curry. I think it's Vince Lombardi, is it?
It sounds familiar.
Fintan O'Curry used to repeat that to us, and kind of that resonated with me.
Yeah.
In that I'm the slowest on the team, I'm probably one of the weakest, but I'll try harder than the rest of you.
Brilliant. Question 2. This would be interesting now. You're interested in other sports, but what's been the best sporting event you've been to? And you can pick maybe one as a fan or one involved as a player. When
Cluxton scored that winner, I was in the Cusick stand, and I was kind of between the ball, like bird's eye view from the ball to the black spot.
Yeah.
So it was probably the best view in the house watching that go over. And I remember crying with my mum over that, just completely, what a time to be a dove. But that was probably it. I was in the Aviva when Ireland beat the All Blacks 3 years ago.
Yeah.
That was pretty insane as well. My first and only rugby match. I think it was a good one to go to. Yeah, I think maybe Clucko beats that. Yeah.
Brilliant. Is there any particular sporting event on your bucket list out of interest then?
It depends on the time of the year. At the moment, I want to go to the Formula One. Wimbledon is definitely up there to sit on centre court in Wimbledon.
Class.
I'd love a free pass to the Olympics. So you can choose what events to go to, and not have to be confined to tickets. Yeah, just it depends on the year. I take them all.
Yeah. Is there any particular All Ireland win that stood out for you across underage and senior?
Probably 2017, winning the first senior All Ireland, just on the back of the losses and just like doing it, like actually achieving this thing. Like, you dream of playing for Dublin and doing all these things, and it's nearly something you dream of that you don't feel is attainable at certain times.
Yeah. That
will ever come true. It's just a dream. But yeah, definitely. I remember listening to the countdown from 10 and just thinking, wow, this is actually happening here.
Yeah, that's class. Question 3, biggest setback or challenge so far in your career, and how did you react to it?
Oh God, I don't setback or challenge. Possibly, this is going back years, but possibly in under 16s, I got dropped off the panel. And I thought, this is it. Like, I'll never, ever, ever play for Dublin again. And I just went down to the football pitch every day in the summer. I used to carry a bag of footballs, and it's a 40-minute walk, and just practice for the fun of it. And half for the fun of it, half to improve. But yeah, I kind of gave up on things then. And when I did get back into the team the next year, I was number 30. Like, I wasn't getting my game. So there was a period of like 3 years there where I thought, enjoy the moment, enjoy being part of the team.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen to you. But I just stuck with it. I just knew I wanted to be a part of Dublin, whether it was number 1 or number 30. And I really appreciated it. So I think I reacted by just appreciating the opportunity of being there.
Mm-hmm.
And that worked out for me in the end.
If I was to go back and meet 16-year-old Ciara doing the 40-minute walk to kick, and I told her that you're going to go on here and not only go back to the Dublin team, but start in goal and win All Ireland medals, what would you say?
I'd probably cry. very emotional at 16 years age. Yeah, I probably cried to know that, what I was falling asleep, dreaming of, thinking of constantly, that it would actually ever come true. I don't think it would change. I think I'd have a cry, say thanks, and keep on walking down to the football pitch. Like, I wouldn't turn around and go, job done.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's as much of a dream now as it is then. Like,
Okay.
I still think, God, what would it be like in Croke Park if the final whistle went? Like, even though I've experienced it 4 times, like, I still think, wow, what would I do? How would I react? Like, what would it feel like?
Yeah.
So it's as alive now as it was then.
Brilliant. Question 4. I probably know the answer to this now, but your biggest achievement on or off the pitch?
It probably like be the positive influence I have on people. It's definitely a different answer to what I would have had when we won the All Ireland in 2017. I definitely would have picked that. But there's little girls you meet that have pictures of you on their bedroom wall, and they say you're their favorite player if they've done their project in school on you. I'm a little cousin Jade. Jesus, she's obsessed with football and Dublin and with me, and it's just because of playing for Dublin, and it's just because of that role and responsibility, and it's having that positive impact on someone younger, like, and influencing them the same way Denise Masterson did to me. Even though I think I only met her once when I was younger. Jesus, there's no one else I wanted to be more like. So to be, that role reversal and to have that effect on someone is huge, and it's a great honor and privilege, and it really kind of grounds you as well.
Looking back, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
Work on your speed, get quicker.
Yeah, very good. Who would be your dream dinner guest and why? And you can open up the table if you want to a few people.
Elton John. I think he's hilarious. I've thought about this quite a lot.
Oh, have you? All right, so you're well prepped for this question.
Yeah. Elton John, Judi Dench, big James Bond fan, and I just think she's gas as well. And then probably Robert De Niro.
Okay.
I think he's dry and funny, and I just think that would be a great mix. I don't think I'd have to do any talking or input.
Very good.
I'd be happy with entry.
Yeah, it's now become nearly a question on the segment, and it's a good question. But what would be on the menu? What would be for dinner?
Jesus, I do like fancy food. I do like my food. What would I pick? Oh, I'd have to go something like Italian, maybe a bit of duck, but then I'd have a vegetarian option.
Oh wow.
I would stay away from dessert because we'd be too full, and there might be a few bit of cheese, bit of honey.
You've really thought this through.
Wine. Yeah, I'm a foodie. I like my nice food.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably something like that. It'd be a good meal now. It'd be a decent feed. It wouldn't be just like a nice, pretty, tiny portion. You'd be well fed going home.
Yeah. Final question before I let you go. You've been so generous with your time. If your life was a book, what chapter would this be called?
The beginning of the end.
Beginning of the end. Is that you nearly retiring yourself, is it?
Feeling old now, yeah. I'm a bit achy these days. That's the start of it. There might be a second book, I don't know. But this is the beginning of the end of the first one.
Brilliant. Ciara, look, I really enjoyed that. Very best of luck next year and beyond, and thanks a million for coming on.
Yes, thanks very much.
A massive thank you to Ciara for joining me on the podcast today. I thoroughly enjoyed our chat, and I hope you got something from it. I just want to wish her and all of her teammates the very best of luck with the upcoming season. If you are enjoying the podcast, I'd really appreciate if you'd leave a rating and a review over on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, as it does help the show grow. Thanks to ActiMed for sponsoring the episode. As always, thank you for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one.